morning and welcome to It's Your Life Own It. My name is Marisa Budon. I am your host and I'm so excited to be with you this morning. And today we're going to be focusing on emotional intelligence. And when we relate to that, it's called EI, also known as emotional quotient. It is the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and respond to one's own emotions and the emotions of others. It involves self-awareness, which that's what Own It is all about. Self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills, all of which contribute to healthy relationships, effective communication, and overall well-being. Taking center stage and owning it with me this morning is contributing writer to Own It magazine, Teresa Palmer, and contributing writer also to Dr. Jeffrey E. Berger is in the house. How are you doing, you guys?
Doing awesome.
Doing
Hi,
well.
everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, and so we're looking at emotional intelligence, and emotionally, I feel so good right now. Coming off of the Own It X this year, super success. Jeffrey, you were there with us again this year. Teresa, hopefully you'll be joining us in 2026. We'll be doing it again, and it's only getting better and better and better, the experience. And so I think I'm coming down off of that high of having you all here. That was just last week. I'm having you all here and just really, really thankful for you guys just doing it, just showing up and delivering your speeches. And so we're going to move on to emotional intelligence. And Teresa, speaking from the heart, it's, just like the description said, it's all about like really being aware. And a part of that is first being aware of yourself, right? And then also too, heightening your awareness beyond yourself and also to the people that you're interacting with in regards to communication. And this is critically important because self-regulation, if we can realize that we can actually regulate, that we don't have to fly off the cuff. We just did a book, right, Jeffrey, Unsnapped, right?
Correct.
Unsnapped. And that talks about this emotional intelligence and just self-awareness, because at the end of the day, you want to get what you came for, right? You want the results
Absolutely.
that you want. And what's important is for you to understand why emotional intelligence is so important and why self-awareness is so important. And the key component to it all is self-regulation, right? And so with that being said, Teresa, when you think about this and you always speak from the heart and being well balanced, what does that mean to you? What do you want to share from your expertise and your perspective with our audience that will help them to learn and grow?
I think the main thing, number one, is the self-awareness. And self-awareness could be difficult because we're taught to be in our head. As children, we have a self-awareness. And, children do things spontaneously. They feel their emotions. If they're happy, if they're sad, they cry, if they get angry. As children, we feel all that. So we really have the emotional intelligence that once we start hitting adolescence and adulthood, society, the environment, everything around us tells us to be in our head, to be logical. And part of that is to hide emotions. And self awareness, if you're not aware of yourself and how you feel, then you can't communicate well with other people. You kind of go on an automatic pilot and you kind of do what you think others expect from you, how you should act, how you should be, what you should say. You try to fit in. So I'm not saying that fitting in is bad. All I'm saying is that you need that self awareness that you have to start with yourself, and everything starts with us within us. And we need that balance between being in our head and being in our heart. So it's important that we understand that we actually have two brains, a brain in our head, a brain in our heart. The brain in our heart develops first. In the womb, the brain in your heart develops at 3.5 weeks. The brain in your head doesn't develop until 4.5 weeks. So that tells you something right there, that our most important brain is really our heart, but we're taught to ignore that. So with emotional intelligence, get to know yourself. And the way to do that is to spend time with yourself. And that's quiet time. a few minutes a day. I recommend 5 to 7 because you really need things to sink in. But if you're that busy and you can't take 5 to 7 minutes, then even a minute, anything is good. To just sit quietly, no distractions. What is your heart telling you? We do have our heart talks to us, and there's actually I'm thrilled that there's a commercial about listening to your heart. It has to do with cholesterol medication, but I think that's the start. That it's got a heart sitting on a couch talking to a woman and talking to a man and saying, listen, you got to get your health together. So I think it's an important message. I think it's one that's finally coming out there that you need a balance between your heart and your brain. And to feel emotions can only happen from your heart. Your brain could not feel. Your brain is like a computer, it's a pre programmed response. The only way you could feel is in your heart. And the only way you could do that is to sit with emotions and to say, this is how I'm feeling. And if we recognize that, we don't fly off the handle because we fly off the handle because we're suppressing our emotions. So if I'm feeling angry about something and I don't want anybody to know it, I'm going to suppress that. So then what happens when somebody comes up to me and annoys me about something? Right away, I'm going to fly off the handle with them because I've suppressed that emotion. If I could look at that emotion and say, okay, today I'm angry, I'm upset because this didn't go right or this happened, then when I talk to other people, I could control that. So the self regulation, again, everything starts with that awareness of ourself. And if we don't have that, then we can't really function the way we're supposed to function. We're not authentically ourselves. We just kind of go on automatic pilot. Oh, that's what I have to say about the subject.
That's what I have to say, and I'm sticking to my story, right? And so, yeah, you hit on a lot. I would just add to that because you talk about having time with yourself, and I know as a coach, someone who works in the field of psychology, too often people don't want to spend time with themselves. They will keep people around them, and not do it intentionally. They don't even realize that perhaps that they're doing it, but they don't like to be by themselves. I had one woman say to me, I can't be alone. And her partner was sitting right next to her. And all I could say to myself was, are you conscious enough to realize that you're saying this in front of him? It's one thing for you to be saying it and your partner's not there, but you're screaming that you cannot be alone and this individual is sitting right next to you. And a part of emotional intelligence is not just you being aware of your emotions, but you also being aware of someone else's emotions. Because it is about communicating. You talked about being able to express yourself. You need to be able to express yourself freely, and that comes from being comfortable with yourself and knowing that your heart and your mind align, so that you're not, if you have to say something that's challenging and difficult to someone else, that you know that you're not doing it viciously, that you know that you're doing it the best way that you can to communicate, so that the clear truth about the content of the conversation is there and present, but also being able to balance the fact that you need to have empathy for the person who's receiving the information as well. So it's important for us to know ourselves, so that we're so comfortable with ourselves, so that we can actually naturally communicate our feelings. And that goes to spending a lot of time with yourself. It can be challenging. And then I'm getting ready to divert to you, Jeffrey. So I'm going to get ready to punt it in your direction. It can be challenging when we're a wife, when we're a mom, or we have family members that we are in the household together with. It can be difficult to have your own, personal space, but it's worth it in the end. It's worth making sure that you carve out that necessary time to be by yourself. I would add, and my add to what you shared, Teresa, is that be conscious in your moments throughout the day. Be conscious in what you like and what you don't like. What are your negotiables and what are your non-negotiables, right? And so what I say is this: is so now that I am older and I am living alone, I didn't realize how my home, I needed to be nice, right? Like I need everything to be clean. I need to, not perfect. I'm not a perfect cleaner, but that level of consciousness of realizing that subconsciously the reason my home always did stay nice, and I taught my daughters to keep their rooms and our home space clean. I didn't realize that that was a non-negotiable for me to flourish, for me to prosper, to feel relaxed. My environment has to be a clean environment, and it's not, you know, you know, a compulsive disorder. It's just a natural clean space. I'm not saying that every dish has to be clean at every moment, but that was something that made me conscious of the need for us to be self-aware. So that when we enter into relationships, when people come into your home, they know to take the shoes off. Some of these things are necessary for us to have that fulfilling and enjoyable life. And these are some things that, just like you said, when the external influence comes in, we start to compromise. And then when we're wondering why we have feelings of being low or depressed. Am I right, Teresa?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, again, it's all about just feeling those emotions and recognizing them. You don't have to feel good all the time.
No.
And I don't think that's said enough in society. We're always told to smile, be positive. Well, there's a time and a place for that, but there's also a time and a place to really be yourself, to really feel what you're feeling.
And really express yourself. So if you're not satisfied with a service, don't suck it up because the whole room wants to suck it up. You say you're dissatisfied with the service, and everyone around you should say, "Hey, you have the right to have that experience. It's not an option. You have the right to have that experience." How you treat people is a little different. If you're not happy with the service, you don't have to be, reckless in how you communicate. There's a way to communicate that as well. I'm going to punt it to Jeffrey because, Teresa, you and I can go back and forth and back and forth. So we want to give the gentleman in the room some space to speak. Talk to us about emotional intelligence. It's really great because you'll be giving a male perspective.
Yeah, so I want to add to, it's great to be here again. So thanks, Marisa. And always great to share the stage with Teresa because she provides so much value. And I'm looking at some notes that I want to kind of spin off of here. So
Saw you
um,
taking notes.
I am. I got my little notepad here. So
Know how it is.
she talks about the self awareness, embracing and understanding emotions, listening to your heart, feel your heart, and I've learned that it really starts with loving yourself because once you can love yourself, then the doors open to unlimited possibilities. And as I talked in the Dominican Republic last weekend, it's really about stepping into being comfortable in your uncomfortable zone because so many have grown up in a box and they're kind of conditioned to not ask questions and just be told what they're told. And this is where you can start creating cultivating a yes and. So cultivating that where you're establishing environments with new ideas and really welcoming and building upon different types of aspects with engaging conversations, brainstorming, and really getting insight to sharing your own personal stories with other people and kind of bantering back and forth and understanding what each individual has from a creative perspective, because I think it only adds to our journey, if you will, to expanding those different types of experiences and also engaging, because the more you learn, the more you grow, and it opens up yourself to being receptive to a lot of different things that you either never thought of or that you maybe thought of, but saying, oh my gosh, they're experiencing what I thought, but I've been afraid to act on that. So emotional intelligence, and we've talked about this. Since I've been on with Own It, and it's opened up my own experience in wanting to explore it more because, I mean, granted, 27 years I was in a box, and we were told what to do at work and not question anything and not have a voice. But now I'm starting to have that voice where I can share those experiences with Own It leadership and all the amazing people that are involved with Own It, as well as the people that I'm meeting through networking and expanding my own business and sharing ideas and insights to what is really possible out there, because there are a lot of things that are possible.
Awesome, awesome. You just nailed it when you said that self love. It's so important. And that's what I mean about saying that I want my home to be beautiful. That's something I love, to walk around, the smell of candles burning, to see the beautiful pictures and different things like that. I think that that's driven from my artistic skill set and mindset, is to see a beautiful environment. I love my home to be so beautiful that I don't have to travel anywhere.
Mm.
That's what I love. And to be gifted to be able to do that with my home, I want to see it look like that. And so I say that to say, and I talk about me because not because I boast about me or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. I talk about me because I'm real. My experiences are real. And with all of the uh, craziness that goes on where you with someone was something in one area, you find out that they weren't. So to talk about someone else's story, I really can't know that that's authentic. But I can say when I speak about myself, I speak from a place of experience, authenticity, and I'm willing to say what someone else is not willing to say about a subject, so that we can be healed, so that we can be unapologetic, fully liberated, and unleashed. And so that's why I speak about myself and my experiences, because um, I know that they're real. And I know that if you come back later on, or if you search me, you'll see the validated information that says, oh, yeah, that is what she said. And so falling in love with yourself is so critically important. It's not
Yeah.
narcissistic. It's not unhealthy. It's in fact healthy, because when you love yourself, you are liberated to love others. My daughter sent me a message the other day, uh, and she said to me, "Mom, you have so much love in you." And that was Trina. So Jeffrey, you know Trina.
Yes.
Yeah, you know Trina. And so I said to myself, well, why did she say that? And she was here this past week, and she got to watch. They're watching me. I'm not realizing that they're watching me, but they are watching me. And she saw me pour into you guys. That
Mm.
love wasn't a love that she was talking about for her. She was like, "Ma, you are really caring about these people that you're working with, and you are my family, because I spend so much time with you guys." Than I do anyone else. Even my kids, I spend more time with you guys. That's my calling. That's what I'm called to do, and I'm purposed to do. And that's where your fulfillment lies. Your fulfillment lies in when you're authentic and you're honest with yourself about who you are, and when you love yourself. And loving yourself is not always about glamour. It's loving yourself when you fail, and
Right.
saying, patting yourself on the back and saying, hey, get up. It's okay that didn't work out. Like I said, every dish or everything in the house is not all. If you got a chance to see what this apartment looks like right now, you're saying, Marisa, clean that stuff up, because I'm reorganizing after the event. I'm not only reorganizing, but I'm getting ready for logistics for next year. I'm not waiting until 3 months before. I'm planning now for this year. So understanding how to love yourself in a holistic way, understanding it's okay to make mistakes. And when you do, your emotional intelligence will grow, and that will extend not only to yourself, but as Maslow hierarchy of needs says, self-actualization. The power of self-actualization is the power of liberation that happens when you buck the system to be authentically yourself. And it feels so good. That's what Maslow's argument was, that it feels so good in actualization, you want to go back and get others so that they can come up and feel how good this feels to
Mhm.
not be, forced to be in compliance, but be in compliance when compliance is right. Be the outcast and the advocate when it's not. And that is the fullness of emotional intelligence, is to realize who you are, what you're about, and have empathy and be open. So what you were talking about, Jeffrey, was about coming here and being open, because now you're hearing a different perspective. And I'm glad that you came back, because it's all about the energy of the whole, not the part, but the
Right.
whole. And what you got was to feel an energy that said, "Hey, it was inviting, it was safe, it was open. It gave allowance for all to flourish." And that's what Own It is about. It's about giving everyone the opportunity to flourish, to learn, to grow, to expand, to be
Right.
unleashed. And it's not poetic; it's real. To
It's
be
real. Yeah.
unleashed.
Well,
You want to say something?
yeah, you mentioned buck the system, and with me here, it's about circumventing the systems, because we live in a world of broken and corrupt systems, and there's a type of indoctrination that is happening, and people want out. And this is a venue, and there are a lot of venues out there that are giving that opportunity to people, because they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they want to be able to flourish and grow and expand. But many of them don't know how. So the more we get out there and share our stories, from all aspects, and
Yeah,
I go back to abundance and optimum wellness. We should be living a life of abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. So out of all of those pieces of the formula, people are looking for those little nuggets to get them to the next level. So, and you provide that quite well.
thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to serve, because I love it. I love to be in the background and just sitting back and watching you guys do the darn thing. And so this is what we're going to do as we close out. Teresa, we got to get these people transformed. Those people who are looking and saying, "Oh my God, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-regulation. How do I get started?" So give them just a tip or two, how they can get started becoming more and more emotionally intelligent, self-aware, and self-regulated.
What I would say is, again, you have to spend time with yourself. There are people that are constantly busy. And if you really look at this constant busyness, I know people that don't have time for anything. I kid you not. And
Yep.
it's because they want to be distracted. They don't want to look at themselves. They don't want to spend time with themselves. So it's important to take time every day, even if before you start your day, to sit or lie down quietly and just have stillness and listen for any messages. It's not going to happen right away, but once you start to get in tune with yourself, you're going to start getting the guidance, because we all are born with our inner GPS, which is really our intuition. And intuition has nothing to do with reading minds. That's a whole fallacy. Nobody could read anybody's mind. And I think that's where intuition gets a bad rep, because people think, oh my goodness, it's about reading minds. No, it's just about knowing yourself and knowing where yourself is guiding you. The second thing is to do some sort of movement every day, whether it be walking, jogging, exercise, tai chi, anything. Walk, just getting up and moving, because you need that movement in order to get all your senses working. And by all your senses, we have the five senses, and then we have our senses, which are really inside of us, which now I believe there's a new age coming. And that age is making us, it will make us be more responsible to ourselves. And that's really what the awakening is. It's about becoming aware of yourself, aware of possibilities, and going out of your comfort zone to really step out and say, I'm scared to death of this, but I'm going to continue with it. I'm going to put myself in that position because I want to get past that and I want to see what's out there. And I don't think we do that often enough. We kind of stay hidden. So, again, I would say spend time with yourself, get to know yourself, and do some sort of movement, some sort of activity. And lastly, take time every day to do something that you enjoy. Doesn't matter what it is, just do something that you enjoy.
Awesome. Awesome. Jeffrey, you're up.
So I've got 4 points that I've been building off of over the last couple of years here. The first is really empathy, and that is to be included in activity, actively listening to diverse perspectives. So it gives you a really a broader sense of other people's journeys, so forth and so on. The next is social skills, and this has, being locked behind in an office for 27 years, social skills are limited to, within that office for the most part. But facilitating brainstorming sessions that value all contributions. So I'm learning how to be a contributor and being able to share and explore that avenue. And then we go to the self awareness and self regulation, reframing challenges to inspire new angles, because there's always something that is going to either be better or can be enhanced. From all different aspects. And then finally, motivation, because motivation is what really inspires you to get out there and be active in all aspects. So the 4 points are the empathy, social skills, self-awareness and self-regulation and motivation. And again, this comes back to underlying that once you love yourself for who you are, what you are, and you have come to understanding what your purpose is, then you are in a situation where anything is possible.
Awesome, awesome. I'm going to give my 2 cents. And I love what you guys said. It's very important to do spend time with yourself. It's very important for you to look inward for motivation. Jeffrey, like you said, and love yourself. I can't say that enough. Fall in love with you and who you are. And so I would say I'm going to give 3 points. Uh, be conscious, as Teresa said, do the things that you enjoy during the day. I remember I was in my 20s working for AT&T, and I'm a young mom. I'm already a mother of two, and I can remember I would go to work and I say, I'm so tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. And one day I said to myself, Marisa, you are not tired. Why are you saying that? And I had gotten conditioned to everyone around saying they're tired. Right? So, kind of adapted to that being a young mom. I was probably tired at one point, but I was no longer tired, but I kept saying it. And I had to come to a place of consciousness to say, you have got to be careful what you're speaking over yourself. And stop saying that you're tired, because you're not tired. That's past. So I say that to say, start becoming conscious of what you're saying about yourself, about your condition, your physical condition, your mental condition, your emotional condition. Start being conscious. Is that the truth, or are you saying it just because that's what everyone else is saying? Detach from what everyone else is saying and get more in connection with you and what's really happening with you. And like Teresa said, that's going to take some time. It does not, what we're saying to you does not happen overnight. You have to recondition yourself. And reconditioning yourself takes the same, if not more time than when you were unconsciously conditioned. And like Teresa said at the top of the show, she said, like when we were kids, we did whatever. I'm thankful to God that for some reason I kept a little bit of that child still in me, right? Jeffrey, I did that cartwheel while we were talking.
You
Uh,
did.
yeah, I sure did. And if we had more space, I would have did 20 of them because I can do a lot more cartwheels. I just can't do the back flips because of my back injury. I can't do back flips, can't do front walkovers with no hands. I'm going to work on the cartwheel with no hands coming into my 60s. But I say that to say, be reconnected with what you like about life, even to the point of what ice cream do you like? Don't just get vanilla when you like Rocky Road. Don't get vanilla when you like Tin Roof Top, right? So I like peanut butter. I like peanut butter chocolate in my ice cream. I like pralines and cream. I like chocolate chocolate chip mint. I like what is that? Butter pecan. I like birthday cake. So get in touch with the things that you really, really like and get excited about them again, because that leads you to fulfillment. That leads you to joy. That's what it is. It taps into joy of life. Now, everyone knows I'm crazy for Jesus because I keep saying it. But I did a study many, many years ago in regard to world religion. And everyone believes in a great spirit or their creator. And I say to you, charge your creator. It is El Elyon, the Most High for me. But charge your creator and say, wrestle with him and say, why am I here? What did you purpose me to do? And then be still enough and start looking at the things that you gravitate towards. I want people to maximize their potential. Like my Heavenly Father, I don't like melancholy. Be hot or cold. Be passionate about what you believe in and go for it. And that's what I'm called to do. I'm called to tap on people and say, hey, don't go quietly into the night. What were you put here on the earth to do? And do it. And do it with every skill that God has given to you, every mindset that He has put into you, with everything that you have, with all your being. Do that thing. Learn it well. Master it, because it is your purpose. It is what you're called to do and what's your purpose to do. And when you do that, you'll have that fulfillment that you've been longing for because you're out of alignment.
Looks like Marisa is frozen there, Teresa.
Yes, it does. And so I guess we could conclude that emotional intelligence is very important, but it starts with ourselves. It starts with the self awareness, the self love. And it's only if we could recognize and be ourselves that then we could give to others. So again, it's a part of even self care that you have to do for yourself first before you could even begin to do for others. Because if you can't do for yourself, you have nothing
Yeah,
left to give others.
absolutely.
And so, what are your parting words?
No, I would concur with that. I think it's a great exit, and again, loving self. This is where everything's, from my experience and what I've learned to, as I came into my own space. I didn't love myself for many decades, and now that I understand it, it's very powerful, and this is something that we should have been taught early on in our growing years. But once you can love yourself and really understand the scope of it, and Marisa said earlier, it's not something negative. We should be loving ourselves as individuals because we were put here for a reason. And, that emotional intelligence is all part of our journey. We should be emotionally intelligent and have that empathy and understanding about not only ourselves but other people as well,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
helping them along their journey, because people are struggling, and when you can support them and provide a path, whether it's to Marisa or it's to you about the heart. So many other leaders are coming in at different angles. That is what is so beautiful about this.
Yeah, I think we really have good opportunities here, and I think the future is very bright. I think that we're creating a world where it's going to be a good world, and I think
Yes,
we really have to just look at it and say there's always disturbances, there's always little things that go on, but again, everything begins with us, the
right.
individual. So if we work on ourselves, we're doing everything for the whole, for the collective.
Absolutely. Very good.
Uh, so we will say goodbye at this point.
Thank you,
And
everybody.
thank you, everyone, for joining us. And for those that will be listening to the recording, thank you so much. Have a good
Have a
day,
good one.
evening. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye bye.
So long.